Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the Stock Market Outlook video brought to you by DeepView. That's the platform that is my daily driver here, and it's what I'm using right now to screen, manage watch lists, set alerts, trade off of. And if you want to learn more, you can go ahead and check out the link down below in the description, as well as visit deepview.com. You can learn about the screener, its features, read some testimonials down here, and also learn about our roadmap and the exciting new features that we'll be introducing very shortly. So with that said, let's dive right in with some market analysis and go ahead and start with the QQQ on a daily time frame. Very simple. We're above a rising 21, 50, and 200 SMA. The trend is up. We're also above this prior pivot point. A little bit of interesting action here on Friday. For a lot of the day, it didn't look so good. A lot of stocks were down as well, but we had a decent close here. And, the facts remain that we're basically in an uptrend at this point, moving well off these lows. We really kind of put in a nice potential bottom here around January 6th. And even going over to a weekly chart, let's bring that up. You can see that we're moving off the bottom here strongly. We're above the moving averages. And let's go ahead and bring up the stage analysis indicator here. You can see we're now back in the green territory and above a rising 10-week moving average, as well as above a rising now longer term 40-week moving average. So on multiple time frames, things look pretty good from the QQQ. Moving on to the SPY, this is definitely a little bit more range bound here. You can see we're kind of trapped in between this pivot where we were rejected right here. We undercut it, regained this prior key level here, and now we're just kind of chopping back and forth. Last week especially, I know I felt this a little bit in my own trading. We pretty much just went sideways. Let's go ahead and change back to this template here. We pretty much just went sideways here, and we'll have to see which direction this chooses to go, whether to break out to the upside or the downside from this range. But once again, we're above a rising 21, 50, and 200-day moving average. Definitely not quite as strong as a QQQ. Big tech has been kind of leading everything, but we'll have to see what happens with the SPY. Moving on to the IWM, the Russell 2000 index. This is definitely showing a little bit of a different picture. Medcaps clearly have been stronger. We're below declining 21, 50, and 200-day moving average, but a potential higher low forming versus this low. And we'll have to see what happens as this forms out of consolidation. The IWO, which is kind of the growth component of the Russell 2000, definitely a little bit stronger, but we're still below the declining 21, 50, and looks like flatlining 200-day. Also a potential higher low forming here, and just has to pick a direction between this top side pivot and this bottom side pivot as well, but looks a little bit stronger than IWM at large. Clearly, the mega caps have been kind of holding everything up and have been acting extremely well, and we'll look at those charts in just a second. But this, I'd love to see it push the upside here. I think that would set up a lot of nice opportunities. But this and the IWM are a little bit more impacted by the regional bank weakness that we have seen. So moving on, let's take a look at some of the mega caps themselves. Google, I mentioned how this chart was looking constructive last week, and we did actually have a breakout through this kind of topside pivot. Very strong action. You can see especially on this day here on May 10th. Really nice breakout after a little bit of a squat here, regaining this high and then fall through the next day, the 11th, and then a nice inside day, tight day here on the 12th. So definitely a little bit short-term extended, a little bit stretch from that 21 EMA, but there's above a rising 21, 50, and just look at this. You can see this is just now starting to increase. So we're above all the rising moving averages at this point as it starts to potentially form another stage 2 uptrend. So good signs here from Google. I know they just had their earnings report. They mentioned AI a bit. I'm sure you guys have all seen that clip. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But potential longer term trend change, as you can see from the change in these moving averages. Microsoft as well in a nice trend here, above a rising 21, 50, and 200-day moving average. Progressed a lot further off the bottom than Google. You can see it's kind of 2/3 of the way up this longer term decline, and it's right up against potential resistance points. So it's a little bit expected that we're maybe seeing a little bit of profit taking, a little bit of consolidation in this area. I wouldn't mind letting that 21 EMA kind of catch up to price, let that 50 SMA catch up even, and have like a more thorough base, more longer term consolidation before progressing higher from that point. But overall, the trend is up on this name. Moving on to NVIDIA, this has been, again, a leader this year in the semi space, especially. Very strong action, nice trend above the 21 EMA. You can see how it surfed it a few times here, forming a little bit of a consolidation, pulling back into this prior kind of 280 area on a decline in volume. So a little bit constructive if it can push higher from this point and kind of reconfirm. Once again, looking to the left, which is always good to do. You can see that there's a potential resistance area right here where, maybe it's to be expected why it's experiencing a little bit of resistance at this point, and we'll have to see how it progresses from this point. The semis are shaping up a little bit. I saw a few more names here in this group that are acting well, but we'll have to see whether this can kind of regain strength here. AMD recently is another name that's been acting extremely well from this area. Looking at Meta, you can see once again a really nice trend. I mentioned kind of the turnaround here from this earnings gap down. Nice push, 4B minus setup, as Stan Weinstein would say, and then nice trend above a rising 21 EMA, gap ups on earnings, and now just kind of going sideways and tight above a rising 21, 50, and 200 SMA. I love to see it push through the 238 level, and if it breaks below 229, it looks like we need a longer term consolidation, maybe even need that 50 SMA to kind of catch up to price and form a more constructive base. Moving on, we've got Apple, also trending above a rising 21, 50, and 200 SMA. So you can see the strength in these mega cap names, and there's actually only a stone's throw away from all-time highs, which is pretty impressive. But once again, the last major consolidation was back in February of 2023. So maybe we're due soon. You can see, let's take a look at how far up it is. So about 10%. So, not too far still, but wouldn't mind another consolidation before it really tries to push these all-time highs. That would be constructive, put in a little handle, pull back into that 50 SMA area, and then progress higher from that point. Lastly, we've got Tesla, the weakest of the bunch. You can see we're below a declining 21, or pretty much flatlining 21, declining 50 SMA, declining 200 SMA, so still in a stage 4 downtrend, but it has progressed higher since this earnings gap down and is holding this prior pivot. So things are looking all right. We do have a big downside reversal here on this Friday on a pickup in volume. So watch out for a break through these lows around 166.58. If it does, it wouldn't surprise me to retest at least this level or maybe even these prior lows. But we'll have to see what happens with this name. Showing the earnings and sales, you can see really nice revenue growth. It is slowing down a little bit of deceleration. And that's revenue growth, and then earnings growth. You can see some negative quarters down here. You can see these are the estimates. This is grayed out, and then these are the reported quarters over here. So that is Tesla and kind of a run through of the mega cap names. Overall, in terms of the market health, things are holding in there. The indexes are kind of being propelled a little bit by those mega cap names that we've gone through, but there definitely are some opportunities. I was actually surprised with how many setups there were this weekend, and we'll go through those names tomorrow in basically that video when I go through my weekly watch list. So make sure you subscribe down below so make sure that you don't miss that. But overall, things are holding up. I saw continued strength in biotech, semiconductors as well. Let's see some other trends. We've got FSLR, Maxon. Let's bring up those names. These are showing a lot of strength here. I believe there are some tax credits that were potential impetus for this and bring up FSLR as well. You can see really nice move here on Friday and closing right at the high on pretty much the highest volume ever, I believe. So there's definitely areas of strength, and there's kind of new breakouts every day. We're seeing some promising consolidations. We've got Shop with a nice gap up on earnings and now pulling back in on a decline in volume. So constructive action. There continues to be leaders emerging potentially every day. So make sure you're paying attention, managing your risk, and putting on test trades and just kind of feeling things out. If you're making progress, keep going. If not, pull back, kind of recoup, and recenter yourself and get ready for the next opportunity. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys found it helpful. Let me know your thoughts down below on the market. I'd love to hear that. And if there are a few names that you're watching this week, also drop them down below in the comment section. With that, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in future videos. Take care.